Dear all, good afternoon, everybody. My name is B.P. Razu, Vice Principal, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, Kurnool, Hyderabad region. Now, I am going to take business studies for a 12th class, that functions of the management, then detailed discussion on planning. The main functions of the management is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. Here, planning, generally, planning means future course of action. Think in advance, plan in advance. We have to fix the targets. Generally, in that planning, then decision making, then in that benefits for planning, then regarding the limitations of planning, then other things we have to discuss clearly later on. Second one is organizing. Organizing means that generally it reflects the process of defining and grouping the activities of an enterprise and establishing authority among them. In that organization process is there. In that process, generally, we have to remember IDAE. That means identification and division of work, then departmentation, then assignment of duties, then establishment of reporting relationships, then other things is then benefits of specialization, then adaptation for changes, then developing of personnel, then optimum utilization of resources. Then in this process, then other things also in that organization, types of organization, then formal organization, informal organization. Formal organization, an organization which is deliberately created to achieve organization objectives. Another one is informal organizations. Informal organizations, naturally, the grouping of people in organization to satisfy the personal and social needs of the employees. In addition to that, an organization structures, that functional structure, it created basis on the different functions. Normally, the uh, functional structure advantages is benefits of specialization, then coordinating is established, then managerial efficiency increased, then maybe in the same time some disadvantage also there. Problems in coordination, sometimes conflicts of interest, loss of overall objectives. These may be some drawbacks. Then divisional structure created on the basis of different products produced by the business. Normally, the divisional structure consists of advantages, product specialization, easy of fixing accountability, then it facilitates expansion and growth. In the same way, in that disadvantage is also there. That is increase the cost and ignore the organization interest sometimes. Another one is a delegation of authority. Here, delegation of authority means distribution of power. Then, how to distribute the power from superiors to his subordinate? Who is accountable? Who is immediate superior? Who is responsible to whom? कम किसका responsible है? किसका कम senior है? ऐसा delegate करना चाहिए. In this elements, authority, responsibility, another one is accountability. In addition to that, another one is decentralization. Delegation of authority or decentralization of authority here. Decentralization refers to the systemic transfer of authority throughout the organization on the permanent basis. Here, when we are decentralizing the authority, this relief to the top management, then they will distribute or issue the authority to the subordinates. They will feel responsibility. That's why relief up to the top management. Another one is develops initiative among the subordinates. Normally, when we decentralize, when the subordinate given power, they feel happy with interest, they will attend the work. Then develops managerial talent for the future. When we are giving individual responsibility, then they will in future, after the seniors retirement, they will take the responsibility with that personal interest. That is future leaders also the firm can generate. Another one is facilitates growth. The individual growth also it facilitates and improve the individual self-satisfaction. Then quick decision making. In individual, when the individuals are given the in different stages, immediately they will take the decisions instead of waiting from the instructions from the top management, they will start the work. Then better control. When they are given the authority, the same way they will control their subordinates. Generally, this which is related organization function. Next function is very important function. Here staffing it means recruitment of personnel. For planning, organizing, the most important thing is staff, the personnel. The good personnel selection, then allotting to the appropriate place, basing on their interest, then the company or the management will grow. Here, staffing is the process of management which is concerned with obtaining, utilizing, and maintaining a satisfactory and a satisfied workforce. In this staffing, normally, first we have to identify the manpower requirement. Then next one is after identifying the manpower requirement, you go for recruitment. Then after the recruitment, selection. After the selection, placement. Then orientation. Placement, then giving the training, which is related to concerned department. Then performance appraisal. Then promotion and career planning. Then another one is compensation. In addition to that, other elements in staffing is recruitment, selection, training, and development. Normally, this recruitment means searching for prospective candidates and stimulating them to apply for the jobs in the organization. Then should normally for selection or the recruitment, The source of recruitment is generally internal sources and the external sources. In general, internal sources within the company, promotions and transfers from other places. Then external sources, normally the direct recruitment, then casual callers, then campus placement, then employment exchanges, then private placement agencies, then employee recommendations and web publishing. Through this, we can go for the external sources. Another one is in that selection process. Normally, preliminary screening, then selecting of tests, then employment interviews, then reference and background checks, then selection, decision, and medical examination process. After that, after selection, we have to go for training and development. Normally, training refers to the process by which the aptitudes, skills, abilities of employees to perform specific jobs are improved. Then development is the process by which the employees acquires skills and competencies for handling higher jobs in future. In that way, the development. Then methods of training. Generally, after the recruitment, selection, the training, appointment training, methods of training, apprenticeship training. Generally, apprenticeship training, trainee is under the guidance of an expert to acquire a higher level of skill. Generally, electricians, say for example, plumbers and iron workers are required to undergo this type of apprenticeship and training. Then vestibule training. Under this method, which a view to imparting training to new employees, a separate training center is set up. An experienced and trained trainer is appointed as in charge of this center. Machines, tools, other equipments are so arranged in the center as to person present a look at the workshop. This is known as vestibule training. Then another one is internship. It is a practical training of theoretical knowledge selected candidates carry on their regular studies for a prescribed period and also work in some factory or office to acquire practical knowledge. That means in this internship, practically, theory is different, practical is different. Normally, when these people learn through theory, but if there is no practical work, when they are doing the practical work, so many doubts when they are doing the work. There is a possibility for the doubts. That's why practical knowledge, internship is very, very important. Then induction. Induction means introducing the selected employees to his superiors, subordinates, and colleagues, and familiarizing him with the rules and policies of the organization. After inducting the employees, is supposed to know the responsibilities and rights. When, as a subordinate, he should know his responsibility. As a superior, he is know his obligations. Who is the superior and who is the subordinate? Then, and the same way, the rules and regulations of the organization. They are supposed to respect the rules and regulations within the framework of the rules and regulations. They are supposed to work in the organization. Next, another function and important function of the organization, directing. In this direction, generally, the meaning of direction means instructions, then guiding, communicating, and inspiring people to achieve common objectives. Instructing, that means instructions given to the subordinates, then guidance, if any changes as per the plans, as per the original things, they are supposed to guide, then communicate. If any deviation, they are properly communicate to the concerned subordinates. The subordinates also properly intimate and information to the concerned higher authorities if any problems are there. Inspiring the people to achieve the common, because of this function, this total organization to achieve the common goal without any problems, it can achieve the targets of the organization. Here another one is some elements in the directing: supervision, leadership, then motivation, then communication. Supervision, in generally, the supervision refers to the direct and immediate guidance and control of the subordinates in the performance of their task. When every supervisor, he have limited subordinates, he is personally supervise those places. Immediately he is guide and coordinate to the subordinates, and also closely watch the routine activities in our day-to-day activities of the workers. Another one is motivation. Here motivation refers to that process which encourage the people to work for the attainment of a desired objectives. Here motivation, generally already we are familiar with that motivation. Maslow's hierarchy needs theory of motivation. In that Maslow's hierarchy, basic needs, first one is basic needs, second one is safety and security needs, third one is affiliation and social needs, fourth one is esteem needs, fifth one is self actualization needs. Because without proper motivation or without proper this thing, uh, basic needs, first one basic needs and safety, definitely social, and esteem needs, last one is self actualization, that is, it develops the satisfaction of the employee. When employee satisfied, he will work heartfully and at the same time for his best he will give to the organization. Another one is types of incentives. Generally, the types of incentives, two types. One is financial incentives, another one is non-financial incentives. Generally, financial incentives may be bonus, then sometimes maybe increments or another monetary rewards to the employees. Non-financial incentives. Non-financial incentives means then appreciations, then public, then felicitation, then some merit certificates, good certificate for encouragement. These are comes under in general non-financial incentives. Another one is leadership. Here, leadership, it refers to influence others in a manner to do what the leader wants to do. That leader expects from the subordinates so to the as per the prescribed to achieve the organization common objectives. Here, generally, when leading the group, a leader should be a role model for that team or group. He is supposed to encourage, he is supposed to listen, he is supposed to have a good patience. Generally, he must be a role model for the others. Here, generally, the types of leadership styles. One is autocratic leadership style. Second one is democratic leadership style. Another one is fairy leadership style. Generally, these three types of leadership styles. Next one is communication. Fourth one in the elements of direction is communication. In this communication, transferring the ideas, thoughts, facts from one person to another person. Here, as per the plan, when organization moving properly, what is the objective of the organization? What is the actual rules of the organization? Then what organization is expecting? This properly systematically communicated to the concerned subordinates or others. Generally, these types of communications, two types of communication. One is formal communication, another one is informal communication. Formal, informal. Here, after that, barriers, maybe at the time of communicating the information, there is a barriers. Barriers means obstructions or problems or difficulties while communicating the information others. Here, one is the barriers, generally examples, barriers, Semitic barriers. This barrier is related with the words, signs. That means words, signs means symbols, then figures, and used in the communication. While sometimes they cannot convey the same message which they want to it can be. What we want to tell you sometimes, our words, our gestures, our positions, symbols, they may not understand the people. That's why properly we have to communicate with proper understanding. Receiver should be properly understand. Here, one is badly expressed message, symbols and words with difficult meaning. While using or communicating the messages, simple words with understandable manner, they are supposed to communicate the information to the subordinates or others. Then, faulty translation. Sometimes the rules as per the plans or framework we received from the higher authorities while transferring or communicating or informing to the concerned people. Proper translation. Say, for example, when we are those circulars, we have to translate generally for the subordinates or when their language properly communicate, and while communicating that translation should be properly, we have to communicate. Another one is psychological or emotional barriers. Here, the importance of communication depends on the mental condition of both the parties. A mental disturbed party can be hinder in the communication itself. Generally here, emotional and psychological what those people are telling, we are unable to understand, and at the same time, sometimes we concentrate. Sometimes the other person hesitate here while communicating the situation. If the both parties, when they are peaceful and pleasantly, communicator and receiver, both in normal condition, then only the communication, proper communication should be there. Otherwise, there is a hindrance, there is a problem. But sometimes problem from the sender, sometimes problem from the receiver. Here, generally the premature evaluation, then lack of attention, disinterest. Premature evaluation. While starting, sometimes when we say something immediately, depending on the response, we will evaluate, we will give negative thoughts. Then another lack of attention. When we are saying some, our subordinate properly, whether he is attentive or not, that we have to check. When there is lack of attention, there is a possibility for receiving the problem. Another one is disinterest. If the receiver is not interested, then those times also there is a possibility for miscommunication. This another one is organizational barriers. Here, organizational barriers, organizational structure affects the capability of all the employees as far as the communication is hindered. A mentally organization structure affects the capability of all the employees as far as communication is concerned. Some major hindrances are in that organization, organizational policies. Another one is rules and regulations. Another one is complexity in organizational structure. Another one is organizational facilities. Suppose sometimes our organizational policy, we are unable to properly transfer and inform to subordinates and other people. Another one is rules and regulations. Our companies or organizations are rules and regulations also properly and systematically we have to inform to the subordinates specifically. Then complexity in organizational structure. Suppose if there is no proper delegation, or if there is no proper decentralization of authority, or there is no proper delegation of powers, or when distribution of work, if there is no proper distribution of work, who is responsible to whom, who is accountable to whom, who is the superior, who is the subordinate, like clarity or clear cut information should be there. There is no clumsy or there is no difficulty for understanding the subordinates. And then one is organizational facilities. Above all, especially the self-satisfaction or the job satisfaction or the personal satisfaction of the employee or the person is very, very important. That is why organizational facilities also very, very important. Those also specifically you have to mention and clearly explain and giving the information to the all people. Then another one is, suppose if there is no proper facilities, if there is no proper facilities, the employees may not work interestedly. Then personal barriers. Here the personal barriers related to personal attitude of employees as well as employer. They fear and challenge of authority, lack of confidence in subordinates, etc. Employees sometimes not willing to communicate, lack of proper incentive. Here, personal barriers. Generally, personal barriers, if you maintain good relations between the higher authorities and subordinates, if they have any problem, immediately or properly, they will inform to the concerned people. In the same time, the person also, they may receive the properly, then only it is possible. These are which is related to direction. Next, which is to control.
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। हम
अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो,
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा और परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। स्वयं बने, हम
discussion on planning, topics, planning, meaning of planning, importance of planning, features of planning, the limitations of planning, then process of planning. The first one, the meaning of planning. Planning is deciding in advance what to do and how to do, when to do, who is going to do. Generally, this comes under planning. Here, planning deciding in advance what to do, हम क्या करना, कब करना, कैसे करना. Then who is going to do, कौन करना. These things are these we have to plan in advance. Then for plan, the first one is objective. Objective was very, very important. It involves setting up objectives and developing appropriate course of action to achieve these objectives. Planning, first we have to fix the target or objective. To achieve that target or object, we have to properly, step by step, we have to achieve our goal. The plan that is developed has to have given time frame, but the time is limited resource. It needs to be utilized judiciously. When we prepare the plan, that plan to be implemented strictly within the time framework, because time is limited, the time is properly utilized. We have to achieve the target within the specific time. Then another one is planning means what is to be done, how is to be done, where it is to be done, who is going to do, and how the results and how evaluated. This includes planning. The planning, setting up objectives and directions and targets and goals, which needs to be achieved and measured against actual performance, developing an appropriate course of action to achieve them, and then selecting the best possible alternative from among the various courses of action available. It is concerned with both ends and means, that is what to be done and how it is to be done. Generally, while doing the plans, total from the beginning up to end, what is to be done, how, when, and these are all the things we have to keep in our mind. Next, this importance of planning. Planning provides the direction. Planning provides the direction. That means the plan properly directed state in advance. In that specific plan only we have to move forward. It give proper direction to the concerned people or person. Second one is the importance of planning. Planning reduces the risk of uncertainties. For before starting the work, we fix the objectives, and at the same time we prepare the plans in advance. Plan means itself future course of action in advance. When we prepare the plans, while implementing, there is no risk, there is no uncertainties. As per the fixed plans in advance, we have to implement the same plan properly without any change. Normally, while planning the plans with anticipated or with expected changes or problems, they are also taken into consideration. Then they prepare the plans. That's why there is no risk or there is no that much uncertainties for implementing these things. Planning shows the way how to deal with the changes and uncertainties. Changes events cannot be eliminated, but they can be anticipated, expected, and the managers has to respond accordingly. Suppose while implementing the plan, if any problem came, those also small problems, small difficulties, the managers may expect at the time of preparing the plans. Those plans, depending on the situations, they will eliminate, they anticipate because those are the anticipated problems. They will respond properly and they give proper direction to the others. Then planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. For it serves as a basis of coordinating the activities and efforts of different divisions, departments, individuals. Generally, here planning reduces the overlapping and wasteful activities. Here, when we are plan the activities, as per plan, we allotted the works. When we are allotted the works, there is no ambiguity, there is no overlapping the works. Suppose if there is no specific plan, if there is no proper allotment for the works, same work for when the two persons attended the same work, there is a possibility for overlap and waste of the time for doing the other activities. Here, when we when we plan this the systematic way, those plans reduce or eliminate the overlapping of the and wastage of the activities. It helps avoiding confusion, misunderstanding, and proper planning. The work is carried on smoothly without any interruptions. Next one is planning promotes innovative ideas. Normally, when we are planning creates innovative ideas and create thinking towards the completion of the task. Here, innovative means new ideas. Those new ideas which you new energy for the subordinates. When creates the creativity also increase the thinking, sharp use of when we take new ideas that use for the proper and systematic way in the planning, and it guides the managers towards all future actions which leads to growth and prosperity of the business. Then planning facilitates decision making. Planning helps the managers to look into the future and make a choice from various alternative course of action. The managers has to evaluate each alternate and select the most valuable proposition. Generally, planning, when we are here, the planning for the managers or the for individual departmental officers, it gives the source or the for decision making proper choice in this planning. Here there is possibility for facilitates and decision making the subordinates. Then planning establishes for controlling. Planning provides the standards against which actual performance is measured. By comparing the actual performance with the standard performance, the managers can know whether the goals are attained or not. If not, it can be corrected. Therefore, we say that planning is a prerequisite for controlling. Here, planning establishes standards for controlling. Any plan, last one is planning and controlling. These two are very, very important things for importance of planning. Without this planning and controlling, there is a proper coordination between this planning, first one, planning and controlling. Here, total 6 importance of the planning. Once again, we have to recapitalize the importance of planning. First one is planning provides directions. Second one, planning reduces the risk of uncertainty. Next one is planning reduces the overlapping of wasteful activities. Then planning provides innovative ideas. Then planning facilitates decision making. Then planning establishing standards for control. Next, coming to the features of planning. Here, features of planning. Planning focuses on achieving objectives. The goals of any organization are set out in the plans along with the activities to be undertaken to achieve the goals. That means the planning focus on the main concentration on how to achieve the objectives of the organization. Here, the main focus is to achieving the objective of the organization. For achieving the objectives, the plan properly, in the total plan, properly all activities to be properly managed and implemented in systematic manner. Otherwise, it is very difficult to achieve our objective, because total all employees with a common motive, when they work for the organization, then only it is possible to achieve the objectives. Then planning is primary function of the management. Planning is the base for all other functions of the management. All other functions are performed within the framework of the plans drawn. Thus, planning precedes other functions. All other functions of management are interrelated with planning. Here, planning is a primary function. That means it is a base for the all other activities or functions of the management. Without planning, when we move, it is very difficult to achieve our target within the framework or within the time. That's why planning is compulsory. Planning is important one. That planning process and functions, those one and another interrelated. When all one and another go together, then only it is possible to achieve the goal. Then planning is a pervasive or compulsory. It is compulsory at all levels of management and in all departments of the organization. It is not an exclusive function. The scope of planning differs at the different levels among different departments. Here, planning is compulsory. That means it is pervasive. It is compulsory at all levels. First stage in all levels, top level, middle level, lower level. All levels, the planning is compulsory in all departments. Without planning, it is very difficult to achieve our goal or target of the organization. Next one, planning is a continuous process. Here, planning, one plan is completed, is not over. Then continuity is a cycle, continuously. Planning through the plans are prepared in a specific period, but the working is continuous. To say in a simple, it is a cycle of continuous process. Planning semi first we prepare the plans or formation of plans, then execution or implementation of the plans, then after completion of again go for new plans, preparation of the new plans, again implementation of the those plans, like so on. Plan, it is like a cycle, it will move continuously. Then planning futuristic. Remember, planning is always for future purpose. Planning is a futuristic in the sense that is essentially involves ahead into the future and making provision to tackle future events and situations. It is intended to cope with the future uncertainties and unknowns. It is done for the future to achieve certain objective. Therefore, planning involves forecasting the future events and plans are drawn accordingly. Here, planning is always futuristic. We have to prepare the plans for future purpose only. Suppose today we have to do something. For that one, we have to plan yesterday only. Suppose tomorrow what we are going to do. For that one, today we have to plan. Like for organization, planning is always for future purpose. We plan the activities. As after planning, without planning, it is very difficult to complete the task. Next one is planning involves decision making. Planning involves decision making. It involves choice from among various alternative activities. It need for planning arises only when alternatives are available. Planning thus involves through examination and evaluation of each alternative, choosing the most appropriate one. Their planning involves decision making. While planning it choice among the various alternatives, it need for planning arises only when alternatives are available. When we are planning different alternatives, they will see. After seeing the different alternatives, out of which best one, after the verification and evaluation and after proper check, then only final decision or final plan will be prepared. Basing on that plan, taking the decision is easy. Then planning is a mental exercise. It requires application of the mind involving foresight, intelligent imagination and sound judgment. Intelligent imagination and sound judgment. Planning requires logical and systematic thinking rather than guesswork. Planning based on the analysis of facts and forecasts. Here, planning is a mental exercise because after checking, after thinking and estimating, after seeing the different examinations and with logical and systematic thinking, then it is not a guesswork. It is not a lottery system. Just they will think logically and plan, think logically, and they will verify and evaluate. Then they come to the conclusion final. That's why with all expected uncertainties also, they taken into consideration through this thinking, through the mental exercise, they will come to conclusion, they prepare the good plans. That's why planning is a mental exercise. These are the futures of planning. Normally, the 7 futures of the planning. Again, when we recap once again, planning is achieve. Next one, limitations of the planning. Here, limitations of the planning is planning leads to rigidity. Here, rigidity means that there is no change. There is no flexibility. It is difficult to change the well-defined plan which is drawn with specific goals. Managers need to be given some flexibility to be able to cope with the changed circumstances. Normally, plan, there is in general, there is no change time to time, but only difficulty, only certain difficulty situations only it is possible to change. Otherwise, it is very rigid. That means it's not possible to change. It's not a flexible. ये बार बार चेंज करने के लिए पॉसिबल नहीं. ओनली टू डिफिकल्टी सिचुएशंस, बहुत मुश्किल है तो वो टाइम में थोड़ा चेंज करने के लिए पॉसिबल है. इट इज वन ऑफ द लिमिटेशन ऑफ प्लानिंग. Planning is a leads to rigidity. That means it's not a flexible, it is fixed. Then planning may not work in a dynamic environment. At say for example, present situations are day by day changing the circumstances, changing the attitude of the public and others. That is why the planning may not work in a dynamic, that means continuous changes environment. It's not possible to implement because attitudes are changing, then situations are changing, government policies are changing. For that, that is why the planning may not work in dynamic environment. It's not possible for the current situations sometimes. That is one of the limitations. Next, it also estimates to predict worse even because economic policies may be changed, political condition may not be stable, or a natural calamity and competition in the market. Planning cannot foresee everything and leads to the effective planning. That means in advance, everything is not possible to expect. It's not a dynamic. Future after 4 months or after 1 year, what is going to happen? Sometimes it's not possible to forecast or to guess. That's why planning cannot see all the future problems. Then this is one of the limitations. Planning reduces the creativity. Here there is no scope for creativity work. There is no scope for implementing the new ideas or new things in planning, because initially only plan prepared as per the plan. Those plans they will delegate to the subordinates. They are supposed to implement those plans. Once the plans issued and issued to the subordinates, they are supposed to implement. It is not possible to refuse or it is not possible to change those policies. But that's why the subordinates creativity slowly it will goes down. There is no new thing for the subordinates. Generally, it reduce the creativity of the employees. Next, planning is a time-consuming process. The planning is a time-consuming process because we have to draw the plans. Sometimes it will take lot of time for prepare the plans. After that, implementation also it will take time. That's why sometimes planning is a time-consuming process. Then planning does not guarantee success, because we are expecting for the future. That's why there is no 100% guarantee for these plans. See here, the success of an enterprise is possible only when the plans are properly drawn up and implemented. If the plans are not translated into action, it becomes meaningless. It is not a solution to all the problems. When we prepare the plans in advance, suppose sometimes for 1 year plans, sometimes for 6 months plans, sometimes for 2 years plans. These plans after 1 year but after 6 months or after 2 years, there is no guarantee for success of these plans. Then another one is planning involves huge costs. For formulation of plans, it costs huge amount. It may be time or money or both. The costs incurred sometimes may not justify the benefits derived from the plans. The examples of unproductive costs are board of directors meetings, disc- discussions with professional experts and preliminary investigation cost. Generally, for research, sometimes collecting the calling the other people and conducting the meeting and taking the opinions and go for public. These are the involved with huge cost. Planning is always, it includes huge cost. Generally, these are the limitations of planning. Generally, once again, recapture the limitations of planning. Planning leads to rigidity. Another one is planning may not work in the dynamic environment. Planning reduces the creativity. Planning involves huge costs. Planning is time-consuming process. Planning does not guarantee of success. And planning, these are the 6 important limitations for planning.
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा और परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं
Yes, once again, good afternoon. And then next, this one is planning process. This planning process involved setting of objectives, developing planning premises, identifying alternative course of action, evaluating alternative course of, then selecting alternative and implementing the plans, follow up of action. First one is setting of objectives. Here, setting of objectives. Every organization may set objectives for the entire organization. Objectives specifies what the organization wants to achieve. Objectives should be stated clearly. While setting the objectives, at the time of preparation of a fixation of goal, the organization, every organization, generally any organization, fix the objective for entire organization. Those objective, it is specific, and what the organization wants to achieve. Clearly, the organization specifies the objective. That objective should be stated clearly. Objectives will give direction to all the department and employees. Objectives has percolate pillar down to each department and employees at all levels. Managers must contribute their ideas at the time of setting up objectives. Here, while preparation of objectives, the company prepare the objectives with all employees' opinions and other members, board of directors' opinions. They prepare the common objectives. That is the process, and first one for the organizational process. Second one is developing premises. Here, developing premises means assumptions. Assumptions, as the future is uncertain, the manager is required to make some assumptions about the future. These assumptions are called premises. And these assumptions are called premises. Normally, when for future, when we are thinking, there is a possibility, some limitations. At the time of fixing the objective, the managers are the higher authority. They will take those assumptions also consideration while preparation of this plans. That is second step in the planning process. It is better to make the plan based on the assumptions only. Those assumptions taken into consideration. With those assumptions, the plans prepared. It is all the managers and involved participated in the formulation plans. Then only they should be familiar with their assumptions. While preparation of the plans, when they are involved, while preparation of the plans, they should be familiar with the assumptions. Without considering the assumptions, when they prepared plans, sometimes it is very difficult to achieve the targets. Accurate forecast becomes essential for successful plans. While forecasting, that means these assumptions. Forecasting, that means estimating for the future. Exact assumptions, when we are forecast, depending on that, when we prepare the plans, that plan become successful. Then identify alternative course of action. Once objectives are set with assumptions, the next one is evaluating alternative courses. After the identifying the alternative course of action, the next step is to evaluate the pros and cons of each alternative. The positive and negative aspects of each proposal need to be evaluated in the light of the objectives to be achieved. Alternatives are evaluated in the light of their feasibility and consequences. Evaluating alternative course of action. After identifying the alternative course of action, the next step evaluate the pros and cons. That means expected, plus or minus, then advantages and disadvantages, or positives and negatives. These are all the things they have taken into consideration, and after that only this process or this finally the plans prepared. Then selecting an alternative. This is the real point of decision making. The best and ideal plan. The best and ideal plan has to be selected and implemented. At the time of the selecting an alternative, subjectivity of the plan, managers' experience, judgments plays an important role. While selecting at the time of planning different methods, different alternatives, when we think out of the different methods or different alternatives, best method, that means best alternative method, when we select because of this implies decisions and managers experience and previous judgments, which is in the previous judgments and experience, that is plays very important role. Basing on that one, the organization take the best alternative. Implement the plan. This step is concerned with putting the plan into action. In this step, only all managerial functions came into the picture. If the plan is concerned with increase of production, then it needs more labor, capital, machinery. While implementing the plan, putting in action, that means after plan execution. While execution, managers or the managerial functions came into the picture. If the plan is concerned with increased production, that means it needs more labor. Suppose we have to plan increase the production, extra raw material required, extra labor is required. That extra sometimes machinery required, then financial, that means generally these four. One is capital, then machinery, then labor. These all and managerial skill also sometimes extra required when extra production is required while executing the plan. Next one is follow-up of action. To see whether plans are being implemented and activities are performed according to schedule is called as follow-up of action. To say in simple, monitoring the activities. For every plan, follow-up of action is very, very important. While follow-up of action, generally the plans implemented and circulated to the concerned subordinates, whether those the plans properly implemented or not, as per the schedule, as per the time schedule. That the monitoring the activities is very, very important. Without monitoring, it is very difficult to achieve the target within the time. Again, last planning process. Once again, we have to recapture all points. Planning process, setting up objectives, first one. Second one is developing premises, that means assumptions. Third one is identifying alternative course of action. Then fourth one, evaluating alternative courses. Fifth one is selecting an alternative. And sixth one is implementation, that means execution of plans, apply of plans. Seventh one is follow-up of action. These 7 steps for planning process. Next one, types of plans. Generally, these types of plans, 2 types: single use plans, repeated use plans. In this one, generally we have to discuss the standing plans, that means continuous use of plans. First one, objectives. Objectives are based on goals of an organization and may desire future position that the management would like to achieve in future. On the other hand, an objective can define as a position where the management wants to reach in future, or it is the destination an organization wants to achieve, and it provides meaning and purpose to the organization. Objectives are not only the base of the plans but also the base of the whole management. Whole management. Therefore, setting objectives is the first or fundamental plan of a business. The objectives consist of a single specific topic relating to a result objective or the guiding force of the company as its components. There are called aims, goals, or expectations also. The objective, this is the objectives of the next. Features of an objective. Objective should be measurable in the quantitative terms in the form of written statements or desired result to be achieved within a given period. Here in this first one is it should be measurable, quantitative. This measurable in terms of quantitative, and it should be quality also they have to check. Objectives are the end result which the management seeks to achieve through its operations. In this objective, they check and they will measure with the standards and actual output with end result. Then objectives focus on broad and general issues. Objectives focus on broad and general issues, total issues and specific issues. Objectives are formulated by the top level management. Generally, the objectives prepared by the top level, that means target fixed by the top level management. The subordinates, that means subordinates, they are supposed to execute or implement those plans. Objectives act as a guide while planning for the entire organization or for the departments and the division of the organization. Objectives as a guide while planning for the entire organization or for departments and the divisions of the organization. Generally, objectives specifies or it guides departmental wise distribution of the work or division of the work of the total organization. Objective should be challenging but achievable. Generally, while preparation of the objective, it should be challenging but achievable objects only they are supposed to prepare. Then examples of an objective are the management seek to increase productivity by 30% in the next year. This is an objective. All plans will be prepared to achieve this objective. Top management may plan to put by new machinery. The production manager will plan to train existing staff, prepare production schedule, and the sales manager need to plan to develop the new markets to sell the increased quantities. Here, when the management want to increase the productivity 30% next year, in that quality not more than 20%, loss of quality not more than 20%, hold weekly meetings to improve the communication, recording 50 disabled employees every year, increasing sales of detergent powder by 3% every year. For example, 10,000 cars are planned to reduce in a year. That means if any company or they plan for increasing, these are all the things they have to take into consideration. Next, strategy. A strategy is a comprehensive plan to accomplish the organization's objectives. Its objective is to make possible the optimum utilization of resources. Strategies provide broad outline about how an organization will create its identity in the business environment. While achieving its objectives, the three dimensions of strategy are determination, the long-term objectives, adopting particular course of action, allocating resources. Generally, first long term, then particular place or particular stage are allocating the resources. These three dimensions are three stages, three types. Strategy is formulated by top level management to meet the changes taking place in the business environment. So, before framing the strategy, top level management should clearly understand and scan the business environment because the changes in the economic, social, political, legal, and technological environment will affect an organization's strategy. Strategy is also used to face the competition of the modern age. To reach the objective of the business, say profit, they make strategies to face their competitors. Strategies can be of both internal and external. When the management faces opposition of the employees, it makes internal strategy to face them. But when the danger is from the other businessmen, it makes essential strategies. These are the example you can see afterwards. The examples of the strategies. Okay, this next policy. Policy is the organization's own way of handling the problems. Policies are made at every level because the managers at every level need to decide or predetermine the way of handling the situation with the consultation of the employees. Policies provide general response to a particular problem which is manager may interpret and apply according to his or her description. Policies are of two types: major policies, which are related to all stakeholders. All parties, directly or indirectly affected, must know the details of such policies. Minor policies are related to the employees and the internal management of the organization. A policy is based on the strategy and can be defined as the organization in general response of solution to the particular problem or solution. Next, it is the basis of and guide for the implementing a strategy. That is, a policy is a general statement of an organization which specifies its intention to respond to a specific problem or situation. These examples of the policy that you can see these examples. This example. Next, third organization may have credit policy, then procedure. A procedure tells the exact manager in which an activity must be performed in an efficient manner. A procedure always provides step-by-step hints or instructions chronologically, which have to be followed in the same manner by eliminating unnecessary steps. Procedure simplifies the work and also brings uniformity of action. Procedures are generally rigid and have almost no scope for description. This procedure is a guide to action. These are the procedures for this plan. The examples, you can go through these examples. Procedures for admission, say for example school admission, how to get the school admission, that how to apply, that screening of this one applications, checking of preparation of merit lists, and list of the final list, admission list. I think different procedure. Next, rules. Here rules are specific statements that lay down what is to be done and what is not to be done. क्या करना, क्या नहीं करना. What is to be done and what is not to be done. These have no sequence of action or time limit for the action. Rules should be followed strictly. Strict action can be taken against those employees who are disobeying the rules. Rules do not allow any type of flexibility or description. Rules are made to create discipline in the organization. Rules are rigid instructions. They are generally formalized in writing or impersonal in nature. They are formed within the policy framework and do not change unless there is a change in the policy, generally which is related to rules. The examples, this next programs. Here program is sequence of activities directed towards achievement of certain objectives. Program is a detailed statement and is a combination of goals, objectives, policies, procedures, rules, tasks, human and physical resources required, and the budget to implement any course of action related to a specific task or project. Thus, programs provide entire information about the specific task to be performed and its contribution towards achievement of organizational goals. Programs are prescribed at different levels. They are action based and result oriented. Generally, programs prepared on the base of action and on the base of result oriented. The total entire programs include range of the activities total for the organization. Examples that go through that examples, you can see the examples: introduction of a new product, for that construction of a new factory premises, then preparation of plan for the new academic year or for school programs, say for example, then preparing the timetable, appointment of teachers. This generally program schedule. Next, methods. Here, method is the prescribed way or manner in which a specific task has to be performed with an aim to achieve its objective. Most efficiently, methods provide the prescribed ways or methods. The specific method, those methods to achieve the task or target. We have to best method we have to select. Selection of the appropriate method for the concerned organizations. Selection of the appropriate method removes doubts in the minds of the employees, saves the time, makes comparison of the work possible, simplifies and standards the work. Managers decide in advance the common way of doing the job. To improve organizational efficiency and to bring orderliness to the workplace, methods should be stated in clear and precise terms. Methods serve as a uniform norms to guide and control the performance and operations. The purpose of method is to avoid the confusion. Without any confusion, specific method we have to follow. Then examples. Then for this last one is budget. Budget, that means financial. Budget is a plan which is expressed. Budget is a plan which is expressed in measurable and monetary terms. In other words, budget describes the desired results in numerical terms. The budget is a fundamental planning instrument that which also helps in controlling. A budget helps a company in making the plans in advance and to achieve them within the specified time. When we prepare a budget, it is related to planning, and when we use it as a tool to measure the deviations, it becomes controlling. Budget is a statement which generally forecasts the expected result of a specific task to be performed in future period. Generally, but qualitative, quantitative. Generally, quantitative results based on the future facts and figures. The possible results expressed in numerical terms facilitates comparison of actual results with expected results and taking corrective actions subsequently. Thus, the budgets are the plans which act as a control device. Budgets are fundamental plans in the most organizations. We may have many kinds of budgets like sales budget, cash budget, capital budget, etc. The examples, this is okay. Thank you. The best is.